Mic check 1 2 1 2. I can see your face, right? You ready to start the episode? Hey everyone, and welcome back to One Man and One Woman, the podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Tara Michelle.
And I am Flan.
Tonight's topic, or today's topic, people could listen to this anytime they want to, but it's evening as we're recording. This conversation, I think, is great. And I can't wait to hear your point of view on it. So, tonight's topic is, are we responsible for our friends? So I brought this up to you a little while ago because I really wanted a male perspective on what we do when we have crappy friends, pretty much. I know, there are a lot of men that I know who say, hey, what my homeboy do is what my homeboy does. That has nothing to do with me. And I think to myself, but what if we change it and we say like friend, like the actual definition of the word friend? And it's someone that, not an associate, not someone we talk to every once in a while, but this is somebody who we risk life and limb for. Somebody that we will protect. We know that will protect us. Somebody that means everything that the definition of a friend means. Somebody we might refer to as our brother. Somebody I might refer to as my sister. Are we responsible for them when they make terrible decisions? So specifically, if you have a homeboy and you find out he is beating on his wife, like I'm talking about molly whopping, dirty working her, putting her in the hospital or beating her till she's black and blue and breaking bones. As a man who calls this person your friend, can you still support that by still kicking it with him and going to his house and having him at your house, just even being around him without saying, yo, that's not cool, you can't do that, without trying to correct or check the situation? Or another example, what if he's cheating? Let's say you respect his wife, she's a really good woman, and they have kids together, and he's just out here doing whomever and wherever, whenever. He has you at Thanksgivings and Christmas with these kids and with his wife, and you know all the things he's doing. Make it even worse. Let's say maybe he's dipping and dabbing in all kinds of pots. Let's say he tells you, yeah, I'm swinging with men, women, anybody I feel like it, and I don't like using protection. Like when you become the person who has a wealth of knowledge about detrimental things that could harm this woman or her kids, and again, he has you around this woman, family holidays, the kids call you uncle. Are we responsible for our friends? Is it our job to talk to them about it, or to give them that ultimatum of you either change or I'm out? Or do you go and tell the wife what's up to protect her livelihood and her health, to make sure that her and the kids are okay? Like, how much are we responsible for our friends?
I mean, I think that's one of the biggest responsibilities of a true friend is I'm supposed to be able to count on you to be honest with me and to let me know when something's wrong, or to not let me run into a brick wall and not see me messing up and just ride with me through it. Like, no, stop me. Like, don't let me hit that brick wall. Don't let me do that bad thing. So I think that there's definitely a responsibility there. If you truly care about somebody, you wouldn't watch them do something that's detrimental to them. Like, even when we're talking about, domestic violence or whatever, that's detrimental overall to your friend. If you have any sort of spiritual belief, then you probably know that this is not good for your soul. This is not how you gonna take care of this. How you gonna reconcile this on Judgment Day? But I think we're definitely responsible for it. And then also, for selfishly for yourself. The cliche birds of a feather has been around for as long as it has because there's some truth to it. And if you're a person who holds, certain standards and it wants to be viewed by others a certain kind of way, then you can't be associating with people who do things that are like completely anti to that and not think any of that, you know, rubs off on you. So yeah, I definitely think we had a responsibility. It's a weird question for me when it comes to like, do I tell the woman or whatever, whatever it is. I know if that's what we're talking about, if my friend is messing up in that way, I'm not so sure about that. I know personal experience. I had a very good friend who, we worked together, and one day he invites me out to lunch, and I show up, to go out to lunch with him, and there's a woman there, and we were both married at the time, he and I knew his wife and my wife. We all went out and did things together. And the lady at lunch was not his wife. And they were talking to me, or they were talking around me as if I was the third wheel, as if this is something they do on the regular. And, I just happened to be invited today. Like, this wasn't me and my friend, and she was along for the ride. This was him and her, and I was along for the ride. And I definitely had to pull him up. And, he denied that there was anything going on or whatever. And I was just like, look, man, you know, what you do, is it's not for me to judge or determine whether what you do is right or wrong. But I can tell you this: you cannot bring this around me and my family. I don't condone this. You can't have my wife looking at me, because this is another situation where his actions, because I'm hanging out with him, reflect on me. So now my wife is asking me questions about this chick, and it's like, if I'm okay with it, then I sound like I'm co-signing cheating. So who, now ask you questioning what I'm going to do. So I'm like, look, man, you can't. This don't look good. I'm telling them, whether or not you say anything is going on or not, as a married man, it don't look good for you to be having this female friendship, at work where y'all go on to lunch by yourself. Like, this is just not how married men move. And, I can't tell you that you are doing something that you're saying you're not, but I'm telling you this: you cannot bring it around me. You cannot bring it around my family. And and I ended up being right, because it was obviously something going on. I think he eventually divorced his wife and married the girl, but had to have that and that was a tough conversation to have, to be like, man, look, I can't. I valued the friendship. I didn't want to, not have this person as a part of my life, but I also could not just stand there and be like, I'm a silently co-sign this, because I'm not going to tell you that something's wrong with it, that you shouldn't be doing it, and you definitely can't do it around me. A lot of times with this stuff, that friends say, well, that's my partner. He doing whatever he do is on him. Sometimes I'm thinking like, what is it about you that makes him comfortable enough to be that kind of person in front of you? I think a lot of my friends either understand my moral standing enough to know that if that's the life you live, you need to keep that from me. Because if I find out that's the life you live, I don't want no parts of it. I don't want you around me. I don't want you around anybody I care about, and I'm going to let you know that that's not acceptable for me. But yeah, I do. I think on two fronts. If you're just protecting yourself and your image and who you are, you need to be very careful about who you associate with and have real conversations about people that you associate with, about what they're doing. And if you just care about these people in general, you wouldn't let them go do something that's wrong, that has consequences, whether they be legal, moral, whatever it is. I do think if that's your true friend and you love them, you got a responsibility to say something.
I love your answer. I absolutely love your answer. As I said earlier, I have male associates and friends. I'm unfortunate, unfortunately, I have to say that, because these people are still my friends, who have told me on several occasions that they don't get into other people's business. That's my boy. When he kicking it with me and we kicking it, he's not, I don't be with him when he cheating. I don't be with him when he's beating on his wife. That has nothing to do with me. And I know that these people have been to their houses for holidays, have this woman has cooked for them, served them their plate. Like, it is amazing to me how easily someone can disassociate themselves from the horrids that a friend of theirs could be capable of, under the guise of, that's my homie, and as long as he don't do it around me, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I just, how do you as a man, Have a woman treat you so kindly and take care of you when you're in her house. Like I said, feed you, never ask you to bring any food, serve you your plate, and and you just not care about the risk to her life, health, limb, you know, and just be like, it's just not for me. Like people who do stuff like that, I look at you and I go, and sometimes I question whether or not I should be friends with someone who thinks like that. And my favorite question is always, what if it was me? What if I came to you and told you the dude I was with was beating on me? What if I told you I found out he was cheating on me? And it's always, I'll kill him. This or that. But like, you should feel that way about any woman who, especially if she's done right by you. I can understand. See, to me, if you let me in your house and you take care of me while I'm in your house, and you do this to me on holidays, and this is a regular thing, I can't just say, "Oh, I rock with him first." So f everything about her, and then still be in her face smiling and I don't know. So I really respect and appreciate your answer. It's really stand up of you to say no. I can, at the risk of losing your friend, you're standing up for your convictions, you're looking out for yourself, which is smart as well, because I didn't even think about it from that standpoint. I'm thinking about it from the standpoint of just, you're a despicable, horrible human being, and I don't want to have friends like that. Because my thought process is, if you beating on her, how long is it going to be before you get drunk and maybe try to mess with me? Or if you cheating on her, how long is it going to be? If I was a dude, how long is it going to be before you try to hit on my girl? Because I mean, why would you, if you cheating on your girl, you disrespect her, why would you not disrespect me? The first time I pick up a baddie or something like that, I don't like keeping creepy, disrespectful, dishonorable people around me. Because again, I've had female friends before, like I said, who messed with my husband, my ex-husband at the time when he was my husband, and tried to get with dudes that I was dating. Um, and I don't want to keep that type of person around me. Like, why would I ever? Because if you did it once, you do it again. So what sense does it make?
And all these things are signs of deeper character flaws. Like you said, you cheating on your girl, may not directly affect me, but that could be your wife. This is somebody you stood in front of God and your family and made vows to and all kinds of stuff. So if you can't respect that commitment, why shouldn't I be waiting for the day that you disloyal to me?
Exactly.
You know, like if you just if whatever shiny thing comes across that seems like a better deal to you, you're gonna take it regardless of how that affects a person that you've said I'm with you to. Then I should expect that the first time you see an opportunity that's gonna benefit you that may hurt me, you may run with that too. And you're not showing me, who you really are. Maybe you are showing me who you really are, and I need to acknowledge that, and I need to let you know I see
Exactly.
it. And it's not saying that there's not a way to come back from it. I think I should be able to have that conversation with my homeboy and be like, look, man, what you're doing ain't right. It don't sit well with me, and it doesn't make me feel comfortable, maintaining an association with you. And if they can be like, I understand what you're saying, man. This is what's happening. You know, I'm gonna get right. Then maybe we could do something. But yeah, now it's these things are red flags across the board. It's like they say when a woman dates a guy that's with a girl, if you came in and took that dude from her, then you just waiting on whatever chick to come along and take him from you. It's like, if I can see if this is the way you operate in this scenario, if you beating on her, then maybe you have a thing with, you know I don't know, just what is it, abusing the weak or something like that. Then I don't know where else that character flaw is going to show up. But I'm telling you, I see it right now. You taking this stuff out on somebody that can't defend themselves, or somebody you could easily overpower. Where else are you going to do that? What other situation were you going to be in where you're going to try to take the easy way out or take your anger out on somebody who don't deserve it? Like, so I got to talk to you about it now, because while it may not be directly affecting me, if I'm the kind of person who just don't give a shit about her, like, you still showing me what kind of person you are, and I got to worry about when those character defects show up in a place that does directly
Yep. They
affect me.
say how you get them is how you lose them. So if you went out here and meddled in his relationship, then 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be a younger, newer model that comes and takes them from you when your time is up. And it's like, I talk about the Love and the Hip Hop shows. You see these clips. I don't watch these shows, but I used to watch back in the day when they first came out, but it's just too much foolishness for me. I can't. But you see these clips on the internet, and everybody just felt so bad for Tara when Peter came home married to Amina and all this good stuff. But when you learn Tara's past, she messed with him. She cheated with him when he was with his other baby mama. And so many of the women he was with did the same thing. And then all of them literally had the exact same thing done to them. So that is so true. How you get them is a lot of times how you will lose them. Kevin Hart hasn't stopped cheating on Nico or whatever her name is since they got together. And I think she, played a part in some things that made him and Tori break up. So it is a vicious cycle. And these are all alleged things. I don't know these people in real life, but these are the rumor mills. But I will say this in an example of I like how you handled when your friend was cheating, but what would you do if you found out that your best friend on the planet, like the closest person to you, envision that person? What would you do if you found out that they were beating their wife? Like, let's just say it was, you're the closest person to you right now that's in Texas with you. You know who I'm talking about. He's married. What would you do if you found out he was beating his wife?
I mean, let's just. I don't even want to put that evil on him, Ricky Bobby, but let's just say that it
It
would
would
never
never
happen.
happen. This
It
is a
would never
hypothetical
happen.
scenario.
But if it if it did, I think we're close enough that I could pull him up and be like, look, man, you put me in a position where I care about this woman. I care about these kids. You can't do that to me. You can't put these people in my life and then ask me to watch you treat them this way. You know, in this situation, like I said, I'm very close to both the kids and the girls. So this might be one of them situations where even if I got to say, man, if she called me again, or if I get wind of this one more time, I'm calling the police. Like, I'm doing. Like, I'm not. I love you. You're my brother, and I want you. I want you to stay a part of my life, but I need you to stop, and I need you to stop like now. I'll help you go get the help. We can go out. We can go find some places or people for you to talk to. Whatever it is you need, I'm with you on that. But if it happens again, I can't. You made me care about these people, and now I cannot sit back and watch this. Watch you do this and not do anything. But I would let them know that first. I'm not just going to go, run to the police or go try to, save her or something like that. I'm gonna talk to my friend first. But I would hope that somebody that's my best friend is somebody that I know well enough to understand I can have this conversation with them.
I agree. Can I just
That
say
we can
again
we
how much I love your perspective? I feel like, and I'm no psychologist, but Lord knows I have put in time in therapy. I love the way that you say you can't do that to me. You put this woman and these kids in my life, and because of you, I care about them. That is a beautiful way to put it into someone who has any kind of rationale left in their head. They're calm enough at that moment to receive your message. You're not being super accusatory towards them and pointing the finger at them and being rah rah with them. Instead, you're making yourself that buffer, that safe space, pointing out to them that you are a person they say they care about, and they're hurting you by doing this. And I think that that is a brilliant approach, a total mind fuck for that person, to be honest, in a way that they probably won't even catch it until later on, to say, hey, you're hurting me now because you. I think that's brilliant. The way you put that is absolutely outstanding, and I think that that would work way better than coming and yelling and acting a fool and threatening to call the police and doing all of that stuff. It's a way to keep it really docile, to keep the care and the concern and the love in the situation at the forefront, and that's super dope. That's super dope. So yeah, that was a great answer.
I think it's also important to like give people a way out. I think sometimes with this cancel culture and the way we are, we get very much in this like condemnation and you did it, and so you a horrible person. You'll always be a horrible person, and we push people into these corners where they have nobody, and they continue. They either delve deeper into whatever it is they were doing that got them into that situation, or they can fall apart altogether. But just give people a way out. Like I said, offer, man, if you need some help, I'll go with you. I'll help you find it. Whatever it is you need to get better. I love you enough. I love them enough to not let you do this to them, and I love you enough to do whatever you need to get you right. But like giving people that way back and not just being like, "Oh, you trash," I'm out.
So, and again, that answer, even furthermore, lets us segue into where I wanted to go with this next question, because I think I'm going to try to get three questions in here tonight if we can, because they are so closely related and they correlate. Moving to forgiveness. Forgiveness is a huge subject matter, and we can have a conversation about forgiving family, and we can have a conversation about forgiving self. But tonight, in terms of talking about forgiveness, I want to talk about forgiving friends. Those people who are really, really close to you, not blood related to you, but people who have the power to hurt you, sometimes much more than family, because a lot of times these days we are not close to family. We've already done a show about that. So, when it comes to something like that, you just said you want to give a person a way out. You seem to be someone who's really come to terms with not condemning a person too far. But let's just say you have a friend. We're going to use a hypothetical imaginary person, but we're going to say that you're right. We're
Stop
not, I'm
putting it
not
on
chatting.
chat.
Let's just
Stop
say
putting it
that
on
you're
chat.
close to this person and revere this person the way that you do Reggie. Just we're dropping names. Um,
All right.
and let's say with the woman that you're currently with, that's a relationship that's that strong. This is all hypothetical. You love her the way that you love your current woman, and you revere this person, and you're friends with this person, and you care for this person, you're brothers with this person, and you find out that um he put the moves on her. In this scenario, we don't know if, it doesn't matter if he got it or if he didn't, but I'm going to say he didn't, but he tried with all his heart and his soul, and she had to come and tell you about that. What's it look like to forget? First of all, do you are there some unforgivable things that a friend can do where you're not gonna hate them, but you might not ever have them be in your circle again? So that's the first question. Or are there some unforgivables? And if there aren't, how do you make your way back from that? Like, what does forgiveness look like in that scenario?
I don't think there are any unforgivables, but there are definitely like I can love you with everything I have and never speak to you again. I can love you and want the best for you and realize that you around me doesn't work for me. And so I cannot speak to you again. But that does not mean I don't love you. That doesn't mean I didn't forgive you. Forgiveness, from my perspective, is for me. I am forgiving you so I don't have to hold on to whatever those negative feelings are. I forgive whether you deserve it, whether you asked for it, you know, whether you're remorseful or repentant, any of those things, I forgive because I need to get that off of me. I don't want to walk around feeling some kind of way about you because that fucks with my life. That takes away from my normally happy and jolly, energetic demeanor. But but I you know it I don't. That's a it's an interesting scenario. I think with the closeness that I have with the person that you mentioned, we got to have a come to Jesus. That's what we call it where I'm from. We got to have a come to Jesus. So like I need everything got to be put out on the table. I need at this moment I need 100% honesty. You're gonna need to talk to me about what made you make that decision. What what mindset was you in? What mind state were you in when you made that decision? What were you thinking when you made that decision? How do you feel about it now? Are you remorseful? Like, but we gonna need to have that come to Jesus, and based on that, we can decide whether or not we can continue as a part of each other's lives. But if you've been there for me and been a good person for me and done things for me, I'll probably always love you. But that don't mean that we still rock, but we still rock the way we used to. Like, you know, so yeah, boundaries and barriers are important things for people to do for themselves. Forgiveness is for you. Boundaries are for you. Like I'm gonna forgive you because I need to forgive you. But if I got to put up a boundary to protect myself from you now, because you've created that situation, then so be it. And that can mean that we never speak again.
So, with the inclusion of your significant other in this hypothetical scenario, what if she never wants anything to do with that person again? She's wholly uncomfortable. There will be no, he comes to our house. There will be no, he's coming to family functions. He's not going to be the godparent to none of the kids. Like, how do you reconcile that between where you're going to be with your best friend and the person that you love, and her level of uncomfortability, and maybe her being a lot less slow to forgiveness than you are, because I'm pretty sure the years aren't there for her, the time isn't there for her if she even knows this person. So how do you reconcile that?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's something that if the friend remains in my life, that they're going to have to understand. You created this situation. You created this situation, and while I'm forgiving you, because forgiveness does not mean that you absolve from consequences. I've forgiven you. You know, I'm not gonna say we good, but we all right in that sense. There are consequences to this. My wife, my wife, my girl, or whatever is uncomfortable with you around. I'm not sacrificing my house for you, so you can't come over here. And then maybe I may spend some time here. I'll figure out what's appropriate in terms of how well I know, my girl, and how we could possibly smooth this over. And if we could all sit down and have to come to Jesus together and figure out a way forward, if you mean that much to me. And that's another thing. people, I think people often overestimate their importance in other people's lives. And, I can love you and not speak to you again. You do certain things, and I have to now evaluate like how important are you in my life? Are you worth, you know, are you worth the work it's gonna take to have to make this all work between you three? She definitely is the most important, so you're gonna take a back seat. But am I willing to put the time in? Like, does having you in my life mean that much to me? And some people overestimate their importance. And if I got to choose, because you put me in a situation where I now have to choose, sorry, you know. And I think as a friend, you got to accept that. You got to accept that I created this. I created this consequence. I created a situation where a person I say I care about now has to choose between me and their significant other. I got to accept that. So I said forgiveness doesn't mean, you know, I think what they say, forgive and forget and stuff like that. Forgiveness is good to let go of it, but it doesn't mean I haven't learned something about you and I now don't apply what I learned about you to all our interactions in the future. If I've decided that you are a person who I cannot trust, then there's distance between us. If I've decided you a person who who morals I don't stand with, then there's distance between us. And you got to accept that as a consequence of your actions. But that's a whole conversation we can have when we sit down and have that come to Jesus. But I'm telling you, I'm saying all this and it sounds very kumbaya and cool and whatever. But please evaluate your importance in my life before you do these things. Because you have to be top tier important for me to sit down and have these conversations and come to Jesus. And I'm going to talk to my girl and try to work some shit out. You better be the best friend I ever had in my entire life. Outside of that, you cannot exist. And I forgive you.
I just, this is exactly why you were the only choice for me to do this podcast with, because I have not reached that level of maturity, and I don't think that I ever want to. I think some there are just some levels of disrespect for me where I'm not trying to salvage anything. Because you cannot make something that egregious. You cannot explain that away to me. And I do appreciate your point of view and how important a person could be. I can't anymore. I've been cheated on. I've had my best friend mess with my husband. Like never, never again. There's no explanation you could ever give me. I don't even care if you was blackout drunk, sir, ma'am. No, because I need to be surrounded by people in my life who know not to play with me like that. I need to know that if you say you're my friend, you're really my friend. And to betray my trust in such a heinous way, to me, yeah, we can't, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Whether you're sober, whether you're drunk, whether you're high, whether you chill, whether you mad, you don't serve me anymore. Because I would never do that to you. And I think the older that I get, the more it bothers me when I realize, and I was talking to another friend of mine about this recently, and I've had this conversation plenty of times before. I think you and I have talked about this plenty of times before. It's hard when you treat people right, when you know you're the friend that shows up, you know you're the friend that's there, you know you're the friend that's honest, you keep the secrets, you protect, you love unconditionally, and people don't show up for you that way. They deplete you, they drain you, but they don't build you back up. They don't pour back into you. And when you hurt me that way, I don't feel like taking the time to work something out with you to put you back in a position to maybe probably do it to me again. Betray me like that again. Lie to me like that again. I just feel like fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And so I'm done. There are some things that are one and done for me. I don't want to say that they're unforgivable, much like you said, but they are. You no longer exist to me, Bulls, because
Yeah, no, absolutely.
yeah,
I can forgive you and step over you in the street at the same
yeah,
time. I promise you I can. Test
yeah.
me if
I
you want to.
just yeah. So for me, it's a situation where a betrayal like that makes me feel like I don't know who you are. And now I'm questioning my sanity and my taste in friends and my ability to judge a good character, a good person, my intuition, all of it comes into question. You didn't just you really did a number on me. Betrayal is something that for me, I just don't have it in me. I don't I would have to work really, really hard even on the forgiveness part because sometimes I just want to eradicate the person from existence in my life. I don't want to talk to you, talk about you, sit there and contemplate and think over what you've done, try to rationalize it, try to work on forgiveness. I would rather never talk to you again, take what you did and put it in a compartment in my mind somewhere and lock it up forever. Sometimes the pain is so great, I just don't want to deal with it. And by proxy, I will never deal with you again. And I think whether that's the healthy way to answer it or to deal with it or not, I think sometimes the pain is just too great and maybe you need time to process. The only thing I'm not questioning or not unsure about is the fact that you got to go. You cannot be here in any capacity.
I mean, but just to add some perspective to it from my side, like it's not a virtuous standpoint. Like I feel this way because of what I went through. You know, I had a group of people, down here in Texas that I consider family. I mean, and not just in Texas, people back, back home. When I was married, I had a large group of people, her family, our friends that I considered family. And I treated like family. Came to the house, we had Easter's and Thanksgiving. You come to the house, ask me for a glass of water. I'm saying, you know what a fridge is, you got it. Like this your space too. Like you can come to my house and act like it's your house. I don't care. This is how I treated people. And when I went through what I went through, my wife and I divorced because of my alcoholism. I was never physically abusive, but I'm sure it was no fun, like existing with me. I'm sure she felt neglected. I'm sure she felt a lot of things. I don't know what she said to people, but in the way that people turned away from me without ever talking to me or having a conversation or understanding my side of things or anything, or just embrace like, or just looking at it from a standpoint of what must have been going on with him that this is what he turned to, or this is what happened. When I went to rehab, when I was hospitalized in the ER, not a phone call, not a visitor, not a nothing. And so like the way that hurt me, to have people just turn, offer me no way back, never speak to me again, go from feeling like I had a family unit down here to going to being completely alone overnight without ever being able to address it, speak on it, talk about it, fix it, whatever. I just won't do that to another person. And I'm sure some people might be listening to this and thinking, whatever I did couldn't be egregious enough to put up against, cheating on somebody or whatever the other things that we've discussed. But I just feel like once I decide that a certain thing is unredeemable, then I'm basically damning myself because there's somebody who could be looking at me as unredeemable. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean that's where that comes from. It's not just like I'm just some super kumbaya, I want to be at peace and love everybody kind of world. I've had people decide without ever speaking to me that whatever they heard I did was so egregious that they had to turn their back on me. And these people were people I considered to be family. So I wouldn't do that to
I love
anybody else.
that. because like I say all the time, I've had on podcasts, I tell people all the time, you never have to worry about me being the girl that's messing with somebody else's man or somebody else's husband, because I know what it was feel like to be cheated on by my husband. It's not a pain that I ever want to feel again, and it's not a pain that I'm going to bring to another woman, because again, I know how I felt. But I think a lot of times, and this transfers over into my third question, which is about peer pressure. I think a lot of times we equate peer pressure to children, to teenagers, to people who are a little less mature mentally in terms of being able to handle things and stand up to people. But the situation you were just talking about, again, kind of correlates, because you have to wonder if your ex-wife decided that she was done, and I don't know, this is just a hypothetical scenario. If she decided that she was done, but she didn't want to give up the friend group, like so many people do, so many people make people choose, and people embellish a bit or play the victim a bit. These people, even as adults, might have felt a lot of pressure to say, hey, he abandoned her. He broke their vows. He hasn't been a good husband. She has no one. You know, we are her friends. We are her family. Collectively, they felt the need to push you out. They felt the pressure from their peers, from each other. They're doing this to each other to say, we have to stick together. We have to do this. And there may have been some people in that group who actually wanted to reach out to you or maybe ask you your side. But again, you have the pressure of the group to say we collectively move as a group. It's this mind think, group think, mob mentality. And sometimes, even as an adult, you can't stand up to that. Do you have an example of something you've done recently in your 40s or in adulthood where you would think, thinking back on it, that it would have been easy for you to handle the situation, but you caved to something due to peer pressure?
I don't know. I don't want to make it sound like I'm above that because I'm sure I'm not. Maybe I just don't hang around very many people, so I don't get in spaces where there's enough folks to pressure me into anything.
You
But
you never joined the podcast and answered some questions and talked about some subject matters you really didn't want to, but you did, so people wouldn't get on your head.
oh, so you trying to ask me a question that you feel like you already know the answer to? I see what we're doing here.
Because I think you was trying to skate your way up out of that.
Yeah, I mean, no, I've talked about that before. Like, yeah, the whole stigma or reputation I get, people calling me a deacon, people calling me Carlton. There are times where I feel the need to, like, I don't know, rebut that by trying to be whatever it is would make them identify me as less Carlton-ish. So I've definitely fallen prey to that, and then I usually don't like myself afterward, and I have to readjust. But yeah, I can understand that. I can't necessarily reconcile that with like having a person that you know I call a brother, and then just because somebody said he did something or because somebody else don't like him, I'm gonna watch this man, be in emergency rooms and be homeless and just never even tell him, never even check on him to see if he was okay. I mean, I had podcast friends reach out. I had people I had never met in real life that was just like, man, I haven't heard you put an episode out. Is everything okay? What's going on? How can I help? Blah, blah, blah. And so for the people who knew exactly what was going on, who knew me in real life, who've benefited from being around me or, gotten something from me or whatever it is, yeah, that's something different to me. If you can be peer pressured into that, then I guess we were never friends to
You
begin with.
know, I mean, that's easier, said than you're probably right. Like, I currently have a situation where I'm surrounded by certain people, you know, on a regular basis. And sometimes, I mean, even for me, being as stubborn as I am, as headstrong as I am, sometimes when you're around a selected group of people on a regular basis and you're always the odd man out, it gets tiring. Sometimes it's not that you are, weak minded enough or weak emotionally enough to where you just say, okay, 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 I'll do it. It's just, again, sometimes you want to prove a point. Like, you guys think I'm this when I'm not. So let me show you a little something. And then you end up doing something or saying something or participating in something that turns out to be so beneath you and so the worst thing that you've ever done, and just so stupid, just so incredibly stupid, all because you wanted to shut a group of people up. And then when you take the time to really dissect it and look into it, you're like, none of these people have ever done anything or been any thing to me to where I should give a flying by what they think. Like, honestly. But that noise, that chatter, that bickering, that nagging, that making fun of, that incessant, nonstop joking in air quotes, which is nothing more than bullying and taunting, just becomes too much. And sometimes you just really want to show a person who they're really dealing with and that you're more than capable of doing whatever the hell it is, or not doing whatever it is. And again, like you said, you end up just, I don't hate myself, but my God, I really question my sanity sometimes, especially when some of these people are just so insignificant. But again, it as an adult, just in case anyone wasn't aware, sometimes depending on the situations you put yourself in, or work puts you in, or extracurricular activities put you in, sometimes you find yourself amongst those who are nothing like you. And sometimes just to quiet them down, shut them the fuck up for real, you just cave. And that's the worst thing. We even see it in forms of, you know, in music, listen to these female rappers and things like that, and on TikTok and all these different social media platforms where people feel the need to fit in. People cannot stand to be the person who says, well, I think this way when everybody else is thinking that way. And you will actually turn against your beliefs, your belief system, and sometimes demean yourself in the most egregious way because you just want to fit in right quick. Like I don't think for anyone in the world it is a pleasant idea or feeling to always be the odd man out. But I think we don't give ourselves enough grace. Even just like now, when I asked you that question, had I not known these things about you, I could have just let you get away with that. I'm not trying to say, it's never happened to me, but maybe I just don't hang out enough for that to happen. You could have walked away with that. Nobody else would know what I know. Because sometimes we don't even want to admit that we've let somebody take us there. And we got to take the stigma away from the fact that adults can be peer pressure into stuff too. Hopefully nothing as crazy and heinous as murder, but we know that that happens. Or, essay of a woman, or stealing a car, anything like just absolutely morally corrupt and bankrupt. But sometimes, sometimes you just get tired of being called Carlton, or get tired of being called the deacon, or get tired of being called the school marm, or being told that you're square. I used to get so triggered by being told I was square or I wasn't any fun. And it happened to me enough times to where, like, the reason I have a tongue ring to this day is because my ex-husband told me I never did anything fun because I didn't want to get a freaking tattoo. So I just went and did something to shut him up and to prove that, hey, I can do something cool too. I can do something that's, very taboo, because back then when I got it, it was taboo. Now it's, please, light work to the stuff that people be doing out here. But I just want to go ahead and give credence to that. Understand that you can be in your 30s, you can be in your 40s, heck, you can be in your 50s. And sometimes you just want to feel like one of the guys or one of the girls. Just remember that it matters what kind of guy or girl you're trying to fit in with. Some of these people aren't worth your time. And some of the things that they say you shouldn't give a care about in the world. Do not stoop to their level to prove a point. It's not worth it.
You know, some of these situations are optional. Sometimes we stay around people that we don't need to stay around, and yeah, we feel like the odd man out. We don't have to. We can just leave. Just not deal with it. You can find your tribe.
That was a
They're
direct
out there.
jab, but that's cool. That's cool. Okay. I know that was for me. And you were correct. We really do. Sometimes, again, you form these unusual connections, and sometimes through repetition, you do something over and over again for 2, 3, 4 years, and you develop a love or appreciation or a closeness or a fondness of a situation, a scenario, a thing, a podcast community, a church choir, or anything else. And they could be infiltrated by people who aren't good people and who don't mean you well, but you love the thing that you do. And so you try to keep pressing forward and just say, while I'm doing this thing that I love to do, I'm just going to ignore those who aren't for me. And sometimes that's not as easy as you think it is. It's much easier said than done. And then you're right. You have to step back and say, let me reconcile this. Is putting myself in harm's way, or is it important enough for me to keep surrounding myself with these people who mean no they just don't mean me well at all. They actually, I think that they get off on trying to hurt me, or trying to set me up, or whatever other heinous things they have. Is it worth putting yourself in that situation to keep doing this thing, or can you find a replacement for this thing and fill it with people who know how to treat you and respect you, who maybe are like-minded, not identical, but at least people that you don't have to argue with about every single thing, and still somehow not be torn apart, or feel like you got ran off, or feel like you gave up, or feeling like you letting somebody else win, or really feeling the loss of having to walk away from something you really love to do because you know there are really crappy people involved. So there's a lot to reconcile there. And again, even that is easier said than done. Even when you know the thing is more detrimental to you because of the people who are involved, sometimes you still can't walk away. And that is the like utterly ridiculous part of it all.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's where like 45 minutes or whatever. So we did fit all of the questions that I had in there. I love the fact that we were able to talk about stepping up and being good human beings when it comes to our friends behaving badly. It is okay to have those conversations. It's okay to set those boundaries. And we were able to tie that into forgiveness. I think we're definitely going to come back and do a show about forgiveness of different types, but sometimes I just love your perspectives on her tonight. I just got to give you praise for that, because I just don't feel any of the ways that you do about these things. I'm also a much sometimes probably angrier person, and I also have just had people who should have loved me and cared for me and protected me really, really, really do me wrong. So I think my fuse is very short when it comes to, just a lot. Forgiving people, trusting people, trying to work it out, feeling like they're salvageable. Yeah, I think that stuff has been worn out for me. And then of course to go ahead and end it with peer pressure, and acknowledging the fact that adults can go through peer pressure, and you really have to take care of yourself. Your mental and emotional state mean more than trying to prove something to a bunch of idiots, if I do say so myself.
These are facts.
Okay, well, I've enjoyed this conversation. You
Me
sound
too.
so exasperated. This is why people reach out to me and are all like, what's wrong with him? What did you do to him? He always sounds so. I do nothing to this man, you guys. He sounds like that just because that's
Y'all
him.
hear it.
Oh wow,
Y'all
this
hear it.
is.
Y'all hear it.
Okay, well, guys, I would like to say to you all, as always, be good to yourself and kind to others. Yeah, we'll go with that. And until we talk to you next time, keep in mind that you have to make the decisions for your life. These choices are yours, and no one else matters more than you. So, if you want to forgive, forgive. If you don't want to do something, don't cater or fall for the peer pressure. And most importantly, if you want to stand up to someone for something they've done wrong, do so. I think that makes you the better person and the better friend, even if you have to end the friendship. Any words of encouragement from you, Mr. J. Flan?
You know, there should always be a way back. Even if you got to set that wall extremely high and make it. It doesn't have to be an easy process for somebody to come back, but there should always be
How many
a way to
times do
come
you
back.
give? How many chances? You tell a person the first time, okay, there's a way to come back. They get back and they do it again. Maybe even the third or fourth time. How many times should there always be a way back? And I'm going to give you the example. Would you say that to me about Charlize?
I'm saying that the road can get steeper and steeper every time, and it may be to the point where what they would have to do to come back it seems impossible, but it's there.
Yeah, I definitely disagree with you on that, but I love your point of view. And I think, no, I don't want to say that because I don't want to belittle what you've been through, because I'm sure that what you've been through means a lot to you. But sometimes when I compare some of the things that have happened to me, I don't think you understand why that's not, why for some people I just cannot. I can't. I've 30 opportunities they've had, and the things that they've done have been more egregious every single time. So I think that sometimes people actually are just truly rotten to the core, And that in order for you to have a safe life and a healthy and happy, stable, emotional and mental state, you cannot keep the door open for those people. At some point, enough is enough. I'm not going to be a glutton for punishment and be abused by somebody repeatedly. Not anyone.
No, I'm not encouraging anybody to bring somebody back around them that hasn't changed. But we should open our minds to the possibility that people can change.
I
I
agree.
believe I'm proof.
But after so many times, you just got to suck it up and say, yeah, this probably ain't going to happen. But yes, listen to Flan up until a point. And again, if you find somebody that just really, like he just said, shows you that they haven't changed, aren't interested in change, maybe lock that door for now. And then when they start to show you change, open it back up. But guys, you got to be safe and you got to protect you. No, this forgiveness thing is for you, like Flan said, but protection is also for you. And only you can make the decision as to when it's okay and when it's safe to try again with a person or if it ever will be again. So again, until we talk to you guys next week, be good to yourself and be kind to others. Holla.
Holla.